Hello, welcome to my channel, welcome to my art desk. Today I'll be showing you how to paint this watercolor Nebula. I've got my supplies out. I have a cute plate from Home Goods to use as a palette. I have some color references on my desk. I've got my Dr. P.H. Martin's Hydrus watercolor and my Arches 100% cotton cold press watercolor paper, which I've taped down to the board because we will be using a lot of water today. I'm super excited to try these Dr. P.H. Martin's watercolors. I'm part of a watercolor group on Facebook, and 1,000 of us received 2 free bottles to try and a 50% off coupon for a full set. And so, of course, I bought a full set. So I'm just squeezing out some paint onto my palette. I really like using these Home Good plates as palettes because, number one, they're way cheaper than a ceramic watercolor palette, and number two, they're really cute. Okay, so after I squeezed out my paint, I'm going to wet my paper. I will wet the entire surface of my paper, okay? I don't want it to be puddling, but I want it to be wet. I'm using a mop brush because I did not want to spend 85 light years trying to wet this entire 9x13 piece of paper with a number 6 round. But you should use whatever brush you have, or you can spray it down with a spray bottle. Honestly, whatever. But then you just want to kind of make sure it's even after that. Okay, so first I am dropping in Quin Magenta all over the place. Put it wherever you want. It's going to be cute. I really enjoy painting galaxies / nebulas because there are not that many rules and they all look different, and it's fine. Something that I do want to mention is that you are going to be painting several layers, okay? And this is going to dry just so much lighter than you think it will. So don't be afraid to put a lot of pigment in there. Okay, we want it to be vibrant. Just be bold, okay? Add more paint than you think you need. Okay, so then I added blue aqua, just kind of around. You'll see that actually the blue aqua pretty much gets lost in this painting, which makes me sad. So if you want it to be, you know, like a very apparent part of your finished piece, then just add way more blue aqua than I did. Okay, so you see there, I picked up my paper and I did a little tilty tilt, right? We are going to do that every time we add paint. Every time we're done with like another layer of paint, we're gonna pick up our board or whatever you've taped your watercolor paper to, and we're gonna tilt it in each direction. And that helps to facilitate the blending of the paints, and it makes it cute. I don't know what else to say. Makes it cute. Okay, so I did several layers of paint, like on the first layer. And I say the first layer because I didn't let it dry in between the applications of paint. So technically you could argue it's not a layer. I don't really know. It doesn't really matter. The point is, my paper is still wet. I'm still adding paint, right? I did magenta, blue aqua, phthalo blue is what I did kind of around the edges there, and then I'm just adding more. Like, it's not dry yet and I'm just adding more, and eventually we will let it dry, and then we'll wet the entire paper again and do more layers. But for now, just keep adding paint, keep tilting. You can see kind of the top middle of my paper has this weird indentation. The water was just puddling there and I don't really know why. So I took a paper towel and I just soaked it up. And then I tried to pay attention to that area and make sure that I wasn't letting paint puddle in that one spot. I start adding Cobalt Violet here around the corners, around the edges, and then mixing that with Phthalo Blue to get a darker blue. And you're just kind of repeating the same steps of what we've done before. Okay, you're just adding more paint, maybe add a little bit more water, blend out the edges a little bit, but don't overwork it, okay? Because this is, if you're using 100% cotton paper, these are going to flow, okay? They're going to do a great job mostly on their own. So while we continue to do this, I will tell you that I was inspired to paint this because I recently started listening to an audiobook. It's actually the first audiobook I've ever listened to. I was previously an avid reader, but always like a physical book or an ebook. And then I thought I could be enjoying so many more books if I could listen to them while I go about my daily life, you know, while I'm carrying out my daily tasks. And so I started listening to this audiobook, and halfway through, the main character is like in the middle of the country, and she's looking up at the night sky and she sees the stars, and she's like, wow, these are so beautiful. I just don't remember a time in my life when I've ever stopped and looked at the stars. Girl, what? You had better stop playing in my face, okay? Because you are 38 years old. And in the past 38 years, you've never taken the time to stop and look at the stars? And I'm really mad about it. And that doesn't make any sense because this is a character. I know that she's not real. But if the character development tracks, you cannot convince me that I will be interested in anything else that I would possibly learn about this character in the rest of this book. So I will not be finishing this book. Oh my God. What do you mean you've never looked at the stars? Anyway, so that pissed me off, so I decided I would paint some. Do you see how light this dried? That was a fully dried paper that I'm re-wetting to add more paint. That's why I say add more paint than you think you need. Okay, do you remember she was so vibrant? And then she became so dull. Okay, and that's just the nature of watercolor. It dries lighter than how it looks when it's wet. So be prepared to do multiple layers. And if you don't want to wait 2.5 hours for it to dry in between layers, then use something to speed up the process. Okay, a little heat tool, hand fan, blow dryer, whatever you have. And so we're just going to keep going. The paper can handle a lot of water and it can handle a lot of paint. And so just keep layering, okay? It's going to be so cute. Once your paper is fully dry, then it's time to paint the stars. I'll be using Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleedproof White and an old toothbrush to be making the splatters. I just got a little bit of paint on my toothbrush, and then I had to add some water to make a thinner consistency, and then I just splattered it all around. I think I did like 2 layers of that or so. And then I wanted some bigger stars, so I used the paintbrush tapping method to make splatters, and that made like some slightly larger stars. And then I decided to go in and add some stars. Overall, I was happy with how this turned out, except I didn't really love some of the stars. So I decided to change the shape of the ones I didn't like, and I made them little diamonds, which is fine because the song does say, like a diamond in the sky. So I thought it would be fine. And it was fine, and I actually like it much more now.